Party. Musi, good morning. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning, and it's great to be with you this morning.
Musi, on Wednesday, the DA won the by-elections in Ward 12 in Tabachwe in Mpumalanga. How significant is this win to your election campaign?
You know, it indicates more and more that, in fact, the DA is a party for all South Africans. It's showing more than the fact that we are growing in areas. And so I think sometimes it's proof evidence like that that confirms to so many that we're a party for all South Africans, that we are growing everywhere. And so it's a really, really positive step for us, and we're very delighted about it. You know.
Now, the DA's manifesto will be launched today. How will it be different from the previous ones, and what issues will be at the top of your list?
Well, without fail, this is a very unique time in South Africa. It's an important time because, as we've seen all the indicators around, South Africa is shedding jobs. South Africa is struggling in terms of its own growth trajectory economically. So our manifesto really identifies that context. It says our economy is an economy of insiders and outsiders. There are some who are benefiting from the economy while others aren't. And what we are then saying today is this is a manifesto that will talk about how to create jobs and grow the economy at 8%. This is a manifesto that says how do we look at dealing with this issue of corruption decisively? How do we make sure that those who are excluded out of the economy, because when you consider the fact that the majority of South Africans who are excluded out of the economy are poor, they are unemployed, and therefore we're saying the best way out of poverty is through a job. And so this manifesto speaks to about how do we grow small businesses, how do we ensure that more are included in the economy and that we can grow it. Because if we grow it at the rate of 8%, we will ultimately be able to halve unemployment in what is a short space of time.
Lindy Mazibuko in Parliament sometime during this week was talking about job creation and how the current government has failed to create those jobs. The question then becomes, if the DA then comes into power, how do you plan on improving job creation? How do you do something differently from what the ANC has done?
What's important to note about the issue of job creation is that no government, in fact, creates jobs. What governments do is to create the environment that is conducive for job creation. And therefore, when you look at the broad macroeconomic space of South Africa, we have to make sure that our economy is efficient. That is by making sure that those who start businesses can be able to do it so quickly and effectively, that in fact the traveling of goods in the country is quicker and easier, that in fact when it comes to registration and processes like that, that they are easier. That in fact those who do business with the state don't get paid days after, but that we can reduce that time to what is compliant with the regulation that says it's at 30 days. So imagine a business environment that is growing, that in fact instead of us talking about 6 million jobs, there's another way of looking at it, which is to say, how do we grow 1 million entrepreneurs? How do we make sure there are more entrepreneurs who are starting their businesses? Equally so, we must make sure that our economy is stable, and that is about making sure that in fact our regulatory framework allows for business growth, that foreign direct investment can come through, that ultimately that growth begins to take place. Equally so, it's about investment in the right areas. So it's about making sure that there's an energy supply in this country that makes sure the economy is resilient, it is able to grow. It is about making sure that we look at industries that need to grow and we begin to stimulate those. Equally so, when you look at the broad plan, it's not to the exclusion of what governments can do, because we've also argued the fact that when we talk about a provincial youth wage subsidy or a national youth wage subsidy, it's about making sure that young people can be able to get jobs so that they can get the required experience so that we can launch them into the economic forefront. So the basket of job creation is a multivariate issue, but ultimately its drive, its output must be driven by the fact that more private sector jobs must be created and more businesses must be started in order to create the prospects of job creation.
Now, in Gauteng, you saw two of your councillors, if not three of your councillors, cross the floor to the ANC. Is this something that's worrying you? Are you concerned about this? And with the emergence of new political parties like the EFF, who held their manifesto in Tembisa yesterday, is this something that's worrying the DA?
Not at all, not in the least bit. In fact, what's important to note is the fact that when councillors and political experience is in place, people must move for whatever party they do. We don't make a song and dance when other political party councillors join the DA. We, in fact, allow that to be a process that takes place in a democratic space. Obviously, we want our people to stay with us, but we accept the fact that things change, and there's no problem with that. The second question which you asked me is the emergence of other political parties. We must ask the question, what do people go to the polls for? They are looking for track record. They understand the fact that we've been able to deliver where we govern. They are looking for leadership they can trust. They want leadership that is not corrupt. So they look at that. And they also consider the fact that, is this party articulating the future as I would like to see it? So I think on all three of those variables, I think we've got a leadership that is credible, that is free of corruption, and has stood up to the test of time. We have seen more critically, we have policies in place, as we will display today, that I think will respond to the critical issues of South Africa, and we have a track record that gives us competence on the basis of being able to deliver. So when I look at the basket, I think we've got to put the offer before the voters, and I think today is a start to what has been a long journey and will continue to be that will culminate on the 7th of May, when many South Africans will come out and vote for the DA. I think we are in a very, very strong position, and I think certainly in reflection, I haven't yet been in a part of a DA that is as vibrant, as jubilant, and as positive as what we're seeing now.
All right, Musi Maimane, thank you so much for talking to us, speaking to us from our Polokwane studios ahead of the election manifesto happening today at the Polokwane showgrounds. They're launching their manifesto today. Let's take an air break. Stay with us.